Amar'e Stoudemire, the inspiring story of one basketball's most dominant. Chapter 1, Childhood and Early Life. Amar'e was born to parents Hazel and Carrie Stoudemire on November 16, 1982, in Lake Wales, Florida. His father, Hazel Stoudemire, used to be an excellent football player during his youth years. However, he spent most of his time landscaping and coaching small football teams while trying to raise a family of four during Amar'e's childhood years. Hazel was described as a large man and would pass on those genes to his children. Before marrying Hazel, Carrie lived a hard life. Her family were blue-collar workers that spent time picking apples and oranges to later sell to big city folk whenever the fruits were in season. Carrie would also share her family's burdens of trying to make a living off the land. When things became even more challenging, she would resort to petty thievery just to survive the day. Carrie would get arrested plenty of times as a young teen. As Amar'e Stoudemire was growing up, life became even more difficult for the small-town boy. His parents had to get a divorce way before he could even spell the word. Hazel would leave the family, while Carrie would remarry to one Artist Wilson, with whom she would bear a third son named Marwan. Because of such an arrangement, both Amar'e and his older brother Hazel Jr. would juggle time between their mother and father. Speaking of Hazel Jr., the older Stoudemire brother was 6 years senior to Amar'e. He was a big high school star in both basketball and football. He was the first Stoudemire to showcase the genes inherited from Hazel. At 6'10", Jr. was just as big and strong as his father, while he was having athletic abilities way beyond what men of his size had. Because of these attributes, Hazel Jr. and Amar'e would say was the better basketball player and the athlete during his teen years. Following the footsteps of both his father and brother, Amar'e Stoudemire would spend a significant portion of his childhood days playing football. Football was his first love when it came to sports, and his dreams was to become a star in the NFL after dreaming of becoming a highly touted college star. Basketball was merely a second sport to him at that point in his career. With the size and athletic abilities, Amar'e was taught by his brother to put his physical attributes to good use, especially on the defensive end in the basketball court. As a display of his inborn leaping prowess, he could already dunk a basketball by the 6th grade. But things began to fall apart for Amar'e Stoudemire when his father began to feel symptoms of heart ailments. He would dismiss the condition at first because he was focusing on putting food on the table for his boys with his business. However, things were too late, and he would not wake up from his sleep one day. With Hazel's death, Amar'e, at 12 years old, was left to the sole care of his mother. What was never been reported otherwise, that was the final time that Stad would cry as hard as he could, considering that he lived the rest of his life remembering how strong his father wanted him to be. Carrie, on the other hand, would return to her former life and trying to support her sons to the best that she could. She would also go back to her old habit of stealing. Soon enough, she would find herself in and out of jail, while Amar'e was left to nobody's care, considering that Hazel Jr. would follow suit with a life of petty crime on the streets. However, though Hazel Jr. was lost to the streets, he never let his brother follow his footsteps and tried his best to steer Amar'e in the right direction. Whenever Hazel Jr. was locked up in jail, he would remind his brother to avoid the bad decisions he had made and to focus on what was important to get him out of the life he lived. He would write letters to his younger brother almost every day. With nobody in the immediate family to help him get through his days, Amar'e Stoudemire would spend some of his days with a local policeman named Bernie Hayes, who also coached the Lake Wales junior basketball varsity team. Hayes would take Amar'e and his younger brother in and let them stay in his trailer from time to time. He was also responsible for shaping what would become a basketball prodigy in the Stoudemire family. Bernie Hayes was to suggest to the young Amar'e Stoudemire to focus on basketball instead of looking forward to a life as a football player. He believed that Amar'e was better suited for the sport as he already had the size, athleticism, and pedigree for it. He also believed that the young Stoudemire boy would have a chance at a better life if he focused the rest of his years towards a career in basketball. By the time he was about to reach high school, Amar'e Stoudemire took his guardian's advice and put all of his efforts towards becoming a better basketball player. Stoudemire would go with his older brother whenever he was out of jail to play in pickup games, even though he never had any formal coaching advice or even experiences playing in an organized basketball setting. Amar'e was playing on instinct, the teachings of his brother, and from what he saw on television. Nevertheless, the 6'6", 14-year-old proved to be a force to be reckoned with when he became the MVP in an AAU tournament in his first crack at playing organized basketball.